Roll call.
Ms. Elcha? Here. Mr. Lindemann?
Present.
Dr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Bering?
Here, just to give a little bit of a perspective on what's going to take place here this afternoon is we're going to have this public hearing, and we're going to take all the public comments regarding that particular issue during that item. Then we're going to adjourn that meeting after the public hearing, and we'll go into our regular meeting. All the public comments regarding anything that's on the agenda will be addressed when we get to that item. And I think it's more significant to do it then, because at that time, the board will be on that item and subsequently be deliberating on it. So the comments you make regarding that will be more significant. Any item that's not on the agenda, we will hear during the public comments as we normally do, okay? All right, so we're now in a public hearing, and it's according to 15-808 and 15-901 and the Arizona House Bill 2862 on the fiscal year 2021-22 instructional time model. And now we're open for public comments, and I believe, Ms. Samaniego, you have one
Yes,
individual?
we have Mr. Chuy Duarte, and he's here to speak to the board on that item.
Would you remind the public what the item is, please?
Yes, the item is our instructional time model under this House bill, which would allow for some type of remote learning instruction for this academic year.
Mr. Duarte, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bering, Mrs. Samaniego, board members. I do have some concerns. I understand why we need this instructional time model. It's just so that if something is that we don't foresee, we have to go, or a lot for students. So I understand the thing behind it. What my concern is that we will end up again going, because it allows up to 50% of the time that we could go virtual learning. And I'm a little worried about that we would end up with that. I understand things come up. So I want to know first, if we go to that, I know that the school grades for the AZ merit scores are probably out. I'd like to see, and maybe you guys will share them soon enough, to see how our schools did during virtual learning. What happened with our students? And then if we could get aggregate information and compare the students that decided to go back in person with the kids that decided to stay at home and do virtual learning the whole time. I just like to see that, to see how our kids are doing with that. And part of it goes back to last year when I asked also if we were going to do some Diamond Scholars and recognize the kids for the work they were doing. And I was given a remark a little bit about it, that it really wasn't valid what the kids did that year, because there were different situations, because some parents couldn't really help their kids online with the technology. And my rebuke to that was that, you know what, sometimes during the summer, we take vacations, we take our kids to museums, we give them something else. And as they're learning, you know, some parents give more, some parents give less. It should have still been valid to recognize our kids for what they did. I have a child that just brought back, as a 7th grader, just brought back his AZ merit scores. Everything proficient up there. You know, so don't tell me it didn't matter, that it wasn't valid what he did there. So I'd like to know, he went back in person, you know, we worked with it. So I'd like to know, have a comparisons before we might give it just something comes up and we are going to be able to go back to virtual learning. Along with that, is DUSD ready with Chromebooks in case we do lock up? I know that there were some Chromebooks issued, but some of them didn't come back in the best of situation. And the last thing, how ready are our teachers if they go? You know, do they have everything ready that all of a sudden we get a report that from Friday, you know, we get it and the numbers all of a sudden skyrocket and we say Monday we have to go to that? How ready are our teachers to transition to that? They sacrificed a lot. They did the best that they could with it, but I also don't want to throw them under the bus and make sure that they're ready to help out our kids. So that's my concern with that.
Okay, so you're the only one, I believe, that wanted to address the
Yes,
board.
as far as this item, yes.
No, but we're not gonna have any discussion.
No, on the public hearing, yes.
No, this is a public hearing, it's not for the board. We're gonna discuss it thoroughly when they make a recommendation, when it's a regular item on the agenda. So any question you have at that time, you can also, we'll allow you to stand up and you can ask the staff anything you want. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right, and we don't have anybody else?
I don't know if anybody else has.
Let's just wait a second in fairness to see if anybody walks in so that we don't cut somebody off before we adjourn the public hearing. You know, in the interim, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize the Honorable Mayor Donald Huey sitting
In the
in
crowd?
the audience. Mayor, welcome. You've been here before.
Thank you, Mr. President, a couple of times.
You still haven't fixed that chair, have you? Okay, we're going to adjourn the public hearing, and we're going to move into the regular meeting, and we're going to forego the pledge because we've already done that, but we will have a roll call. So we're into the regular meeting now, so roll call.
Ms. Selcha?
Here.
Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Dr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes, item E, approval of minutes. Entertain a motion to approve
I move to approve the minutes.
by Mr. Lindemann. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Ramos. Any discussion regarding the minutes? Roll call.
Ms. Selcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes, item F, summary of current events, Superintendent Samaniego.
Just an update on the turf at the football field. It was completed over the weekend. It looks very nice. The final walkthrough was done today, and it's ready to be utilized by our students and, you know, the community if need be. And our first game is this Friday, which is the Bisbee Douglas pick game. So, and that's all I have for now.
Okay, then we'll move right to I believe it's a presentation again by Mr. Duarte.
Yes.
And that's going to be regarding the American Lung Association's Intervention for Nicotine Dependence, Education, Prevention, Tobacco and Health program. And it's going to be presented by Mr. Jesus Duarte. Go ahead, Mr. Is that a
That's good.
PowerPoint or you?
No,
Oh,
it's,
okay.
yeah, I didn't send a PowerPoint, but I have some.
Okay, good. Just
things
go ahead,
that I could
whatever
demonstrate.
whatever
Okay, so
makes you
thank you.
comfortable.
Well, I'm here to talk about another epidemic. This epidemic started in 2017, and it's the vaping epidemic that has hit mostly our kids really hard. Right now, the latest report that we got from 2020 was that about 3.6 million youth are vaping, are using these vape products. The numbers might be skewed a little bit, you know, but they look great because 2019, the reports was that it was over 5 million kids that were using it. We weren't able, with kids not being in school, it's hard to do those surveys, the tobacco surveys, the youth risk surveys, to get a really accurate information. We'll see what happens with this year. And I'm saying that it started in 2017. That's when a product called Juul hit the market. And it really affected the way that our kids started looking at these tobacco nicotine products. Okay, we did hear that last year, 2020, there was a ban on flavored products. But the thing that happened with the flavored products, it only affected things like the jewel that come in, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, that come in pods. These are the little pods. Sometimes you guys might see them, and they contain the nicotine. And when these first came out from Jewel, they came in creme brulee, fruit medley, mango, pina colada, cucumber. So after the ban on the flavors, they could only make them in menthol and nicotine flavors. So the way that the tobacco industry got around it, they started coming with these disposable products that we see, and we see them a lot with our kids. And again, you see the great flavoring that they have: pink lemonade, mint flavoring, mango flavor. And some of these are so stealth that it's hard for parents, teachers, administrators, resource officers, coaches to find them. The kids hide them, and they, and they're using them all the time. They can use them in class. They're very stealth with what they're doing with it. And, talking a little bit with the principal from the high school, they're saying they're catching kids 4, 5, 6 incidents a day of them going, and the kids are vaping at school. And really what we're presenting here besides is go with a program that'll be a diversion for them. So that with it, it's already been some of the best practices. I send you guys a copy of it, and that way we can stop from suspending the kids, if that's what we're doing, and have some type of in-house suspension that they would go there for 4 sessions, an hour each. Whether we do it during school hours, that we can get it, if we get a classroom and we find a teacher that'll want to be there while one of us from the health department presents it to them, or we can do it after school. My schedule is open. So that's what we're trying to present. We're presenting and giving you guys that option to review it. And then if it gets approved, then we'll sit down with our principal and come down with how it's going to be implemented. What will happen if the kid doesn't show up? What happens, how they have to show up to all those classes with it. And probably first semester we can pilot it at Douglas High School. And then if we need it at the middle schools, we can also work with that. And also, the contingency would be if we ever need it to be also virtual, we could do some of that work with it. But we need to get something done to help our students. We will also, once they go through this program, if they're really having an addiction to the nicotine, we will, I'm going through a training process so that we can help them go through a cessation program for them so they can quit. Whether they use the ASH line, they use the program that we have. The ASH line is the Arizona Smokers Helpline, which will be free, so we can get them off of this product. And then the last thing is also offer this presentation to staff so that they become aware of what's out there, and also make it available to parents so that they can see it, because sometimes they don't know what their kids might be doing in their rooms, whether they're using some of them that look like USBs, like the Jewel was. So you see the Jewel, it could look like a USB. This is the charger. You can plug it into a USB on the computer. You put it in there, the parents might think, oh, that's just a USB, or it's a receiver for Wi-Fi, things that they can get away with it. So we have to do an education program for everybody, parents, teachers, students, anybody else, so that we can try to help out our kids with it. I knew I was pressed for time, so I cut it short. If you guys have any time.
If you've got more to say, you're more than welcome to say it.
No, what's happening with these products is that our kids don't know how addictive it is, the nicotine. They might get one of these products and they just get it and it says 5% nicotine content. And we're thinking 5%, that's not going to hurt you. But they've concentrated it so much that 5% nicotine content in these equals 19 to 20 cigarettes. That's the amount of nicotine that they're getting. And the kids are thinking, well, they just inhale it, it tastes good, and before they know it, they're inhaling so much nicotine that the addiction is occurring a lot faster for them. Their brain is just changing. They take the hit, it releases the dopamine, it makes them feel good. It relaxes them right now. And we have to, sometimes they're thinking that they're self-medicating with this stuff to make them feel good because they're going through maybe some kind of depression, some kind of isolation. We don't know what else the kids are going through this. None of us have lived through this. So the kids are trying to find coping mechanisms. And that's why we're seeing such a high rate with that. Okay? I'm open for any questions.
Members of the board first.
Yes.
Members of the board, do you have any questions or comments?
Mr.
Yes,
President,
Mr. Lindeman.
Mr. Duarte, when you say you wanted to present, maybe it would be nice or advantageous to go to the PTSOs.
Yes, sir.
And, start notifying the parents.
Yes. I think, that's already in the plans. I'm going to start reaching out. But also if we can have some kind of, it's not just give this presentation, it's also so that the parents know what options do I have at least to get my kids started if we're going to try to help them quit, try to get off of these products as well. But yes,
Yeah, thank you.
great point.
Other members of the board?
Yes, Mrs. South.
Do you have many students or many minors who contact the ASH line?
I could get those numbers with it. I don't have them.
I just wondered.
Most of the time with the ASH line in the past was that they weren't doing too much for the kids because since they were under 18, they still couldn't give them the nicotine replacement therapy. So it's a new program that they're also just starting to address this addiction for the kids under that age. And what is going to happen is that the parent is going to have to sign off and say, okay, put my child on the patch, even though it's still nicotine, but not at that high rate, so they can start helping them ease off of it. Yes.
Thank you, Jim.
So it's new stuff for us all.
Other members of the board? Thanks for that important information. Appreciate it very much. Board members, I think during the regular year, notwithstanding last year, that we frequently see, especially at the high school, that all the suspensions because of that. And those are the ones that they know about, right? Melissa, I know you don't have that much experience up there yet, but that is a major problem up there, isn't it, Melissa, at the high school? Mr. Duarte, thank you very much for that.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Reports, governing board members. Mr. Lindeman, do you have a report?
Last week, I went to the League of Cities and town in Arizona conferences, and we had good news from Mark Kelly about our new commercial port of entry, and so let's all keep our fingers crossed that that infrastructure will pass. That'll mean $400 million for Douglas alone.
Great, thank you. And you'll be making that same report to the mayor at the next meeting, probably.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, he was there.
Ex officio member, and it's good to see her for the first time. Camila Barrios,
Yes.
do you have a report?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Samaniego, and members of the public. The activity report at DHS and DUSD schools for the month of September is as follows. At Douglas High School, we are promoting school spirit and we have implemented our Black and Gold Fridays. Our athletic teams, school clubs, and student council provide activities in the morning for our students and staff to participate in. Our goal is to increase school spirit and demonstrate school pride. Go Bulldogs! District-wide, all schools will be having parent-teacher conferences, DHS from 2 to 7 p.m. and all other schools from 1 to 7 p.m. We will be having a pep rally September 10th, picture days September 13th through 14th. HOSA is going to a STEM Goes Red event September 17th. There will be a PTSO meeting September 23rd, and there is ASVAB testing September 28th. Athletics are up and running, and our volleyball, swim, cross country, and golf teams have several matches in the month of September. Football starts its season with the pick game versus Bisbee on September 10th. We hope to see you all there. Ray Brain will be having their student council elections next week. Volleyball, drama club, and yearbook are the extracurricular activities at Ray Brain for quarter 1. Huber is having a welcome back dance on September 8th from 6 to 8. Clausen will be visited by the therapy dogs at the end of September. Students will be working on fair projects to display at the fair. They have partnered with DDs to help raise money for books for our library. At Joe Carlson, they held a student council election for student body officers and classroom representatives. At Sarah Marley, the preschool will be planting a tree as a way to celebrate the lives of all children today in the back area of the school. They recently suffered a tragic loss of 2 students and wanted to do something to put some positivity into the world. We will be having our first Scholastic Book Fair from September 7th to the 17th. At Stevenson, they held their first PTSO meeting of the year on August 25th, and they had a great turnout for families and staff. They will continue to expect great family participation as the year progresses. Although student absences have been greater than anticipated, families have done an excellent job in reporting the legitimate absences and keeping the office informed. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Since we're on the high school and we've got the game coming up Friday night, is there going to be any special protocol regarding entrance into the stadium or anything at all that's going to be unusual, like masks or is it open? The stadium going to be open?
Mr. Ortega.
Stadium's going to be open, absolutely open, being that it's outdoor.
Oh, I didn't see
There's
Mr.
Mr.
Ortega's
Ortega.
there.
You want-
Oh, okay, go ahead. Why don't you
Do you
come up
wanna
there?
come
and- Because that'd be good information to get out to the public.
Sure, good evening, everybody. The stadium will be open, masks are optional, being that it's outdoor. Any event right now in our facilities, masks are required as district policy.
Okay, good, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
That's good to know that. Business office report, Mr. Soto.
Good evening, board president, board members. I have my monthly budget balance report as presented. We still have a lot of salaries that need to be encumbered. That's why you see a high percentage of still remaining on the balance, budget balance. And the reason why the district additional assistant or capital is low is because we have encumbered that PO for the turf. But remember that that's something that we're gonna remove because it's gonna be starting to be paid next year, not this year. So you're gonna see it back, $945,000 back into that budget. Any other questions you may have?
Board members, any questions regarding that report? There might be some later after we get to another item.
Of course.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Mrs. Cox, Human Resources.
Good evening. So currently, we have 3,914 students enrolled in the district. I wanted to give you some information on a survey that went out pertaining to COVID vaccinations. At this time, we have about 305 responses. 60% of those were certified, 40% are classified. 92% of our employees that answered the survey are fully vaccinated. The 8% are not fully vaccinated. Of those roughly 26 people, 15 are still undecided. 2 of them said yes, but they're waiting, and 9 said no, that they will not be getting vaccinated. Okay, so approximately 92% of the 305 that responded.
Okay, I know there was an issue was mentioned last time on substitutes. Are you doing better with subs now?
Yes. So we have more substitutes available, and we've had a lot of absences, so we're trying to spread them out equally.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, public comments. Do we have any comments other than any item on the agenda?
Yes, we have Mr. Duarte, public comment on mask mandate.
Thank you again. Good afternoon. So I'm Jesus Duarte, Chuy Duarte, and I'm a proud parent of a USD 7th grader. Today I come to address a couple issues with the board. First off, I find it very disrespectful that board members do not take the time to answer or reply to emails sent by the people you're supposed to represent. I have yet to ever hear back from Mr. Ramos on any of my concerns. The last email that I sent out on Saturday, August 28th, to the entire board only got 2 replies back. Mr. Borain and Mr. Lindeman, thank you very much for responding. So I'm here to talk about that email and how the actions of our superintendent led me to have little confidence in the arbitrary mask mandate imposed on our kids. First, let's start with the letter that was sent out to us parents on August 18th, and I will highlight the points to make there. Okay, so here's the letter. And in that letter, you know, parts of the things that were emphasized was that community spread continues to rise. Cochise County is currently in high transmission with the increase in cases. Universal masking is recommended by all health officials is a top mitigating strategy for safe in-person learning. We are seeing cases in our schools, and we know that the Delta variant is present in Cochise County, and it is very opportunistic, or is an opportunistic virus that is very contagious. We know that we had multiple breakthrough cases where fully vaccinated individuals have contracted COVID-19. We know that data is now showing that fully vaccinated individuals can have COVID-19, be asymptomatic, and spread the virus to others. And we must act to reduce the numbers of positive cases and the number of students and staff required to quarantine if we are to ensure the continued operations of our schools in person. At this point, in order to keep students and staff in class learning to their best abilities, our best defense, along with vaccination, is to require masks so long as the law allows and or until our community spread and cases in schools is well managed. So what happened that day was that
I'm going to wrap it up. Go ahead.
Okay, we had our superintendent and some business people attend a training in Sierra Vista, still part of Cochise County, where the virus is highly contagious, and they're pictured indoors without masking up. So is that virus going to know not to get somebody sick over there? I know it's not at our schools, but then we're still putting people at that. If you don't believe that it's going to affect you over there, then why impose it on our kids, on our staff, if that's what's going to happen with it? It shouldn't be just a mandate because it feels good to say, you know what, I did it for the kids. You know, I heard back is that if we are able to keep one kid from getting it, you know, it's worth it. But we don't know also the long terms of what's going to happen to some of these kids if they're going to be held back, slowed back with what they're doing with it. And that's what I'm asking. If it's going to be a mandate that is so important for all of us to follow, we have to be the leaders. It has to start up at the top. I'm for personal responsibility. You do you, I do me. And if you feel safe about it, go with it, make it optional, and let the parents decide what's best for their kids. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. We don't customarily respond, but I just want to make a statement regarding one comment you made. Public officials are always in the limelight, and anything that they might purport officially and do or contravene it publicly is within the realm of their responsibility. And if there's any criticism for it, regardless of what they feel, why they did it, or what the circumstances were, then they live with it. And I'm not castigating or impugning everybody, but I just making that general statement. I'm sure that there were mitigating circumstances. I'm not going to make any excuses for anybody, but I can tell you as a former public official, it's difficult. It's difficult. And when you're in the public eye, they have to be sensitive to that. So I just wanted to clarify that. And when they attend meetings or whatever the protocol is at the meeting that they're attending, they're responsible for how they're there and what they say or recommend officially, okay? Thank you. Members of the board, we're going to move on now to approval of the following consent agenda items: payroll and expense vouchers. Payroll 1, 2, and 3. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the payroll vouchers.
By Mr. Lindeman. Is there a second? Second. By Mr. Ramos. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Yes. Item 3, action items. Items for consideration, discussion, direction, and possible approval. Ms. Samaniego.
Action item A is approval of certified hires. It is a long list of current staff, mainly after-school tutoring, emergency substitute teachers, and 21st century programs, so as presented.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to
By
approve
Mr.
the
Lindeman.
certified
Is there a
hires.
second?
A second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion?
Mr. President, I have a quick question for Mrs. Samaniego on this. These after-school tutors, is the general gist of that to help the students catch up with if they're in need of any or deficiencies or anything like that?
Yes, and so after-school tutoring, we focus on obviously reading and math. And so students that are, targeted and needing to go to summer school first get that invite so that they can attend tutoring, and we encourage as many to attend. So it can be sometimes needing help in homework, and can be because they are not passing their assessments and recommended by the teacher, so for various reasons.
Okay, and then it's open to everyone that is
Yes.
not really a grade type
Yes,
of thing?
no.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else, members of the board? Item B, discussion action on the, I'm sorry,
We'll
roll
have to
call.
vote.
Roll
Ms.
call.
Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Yes, item B, discussion action on the approval of classified hires. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, we have several new people that are being recommended, from campus security to the van drivers and 21st century instructional aid hires that are currently our employees already. And finally, our maintenance department will be almost complete with staffing. So as presented.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the classified hires.
Second? By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion?
I do have one quick question, Mr. President. Ms. Samaniego, can you briefly run down the what a van driver does?
Okay. And I will have Mr. Soto, I will defer to Mr. Soto because he and Mrs. Cox worked on it. I know the answer, but I want him to provide the answer for us.
Mr. Lindemann, it's if you remember in the past, we used to add hours to the special ed IAs, especially so they can drive and bring the kids to the school. But we thought that this is a transportation issue and not, the IAs are there to assist the kids in the classrooms, not driving. So the reason that we created this, most of these are just part-time, that they're going to be working in the morning and in the afternoon, dropping kids and bringing them home. That's basically what the van driver is going to be doing.
For
In
special
addition-
ed.
For special ed, in addition to if there's any time where they're not going to be driving, like half an hour, they'll be helping out the transportation department and the warehouse.
Okay, so it is a special needs.
First-
Okay,
yes.
Very good, thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Yes, item C, discussion action on the approval of athletic resignations. Ms.
Mr.
Samaniego.
Bahrain, before we go on, do we have any new hires in the public that want to get recognized? Okay, no new hires here today. Okay, and then item C is as presented, resignation from football assistant coach.
Entertain a motion to
I
approve.
move to approve the athletic resignation.
By Mr. Lindeman, second. By
Second.
Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Bereen.
Yes, item D, discussion action on the approval of classified resignation. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve the classified resignation.
Is there a second? By Ms. Salchow. Roll call.
Ms. Salchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Bereen.
Yes. Item E, discussion action on the approval of addendums. Ms. Samaniego.
These are middle school addendas, and their names were not submitted in the prior list because they weren't selected, with the exception of only Mr. Moreno. So yearbook for RBMS and yearbook for Paul Heber Middle School is being split between two teachers.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
By Mr. Lindeman, second.
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Bereen.
Yes. Item F, discussion action on the approval of volunteers. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, we have one Coaches College math tutor who's going to be volunteering and doing some tutoring at Douglas High School, Francisco Parra, track and swim, DHS, and Robert Rodriguez, golf, baseball, and RBMS, as presented.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
By Mr. Lindeman, second.
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Bereen.
Yes. Item G, discussion action on the approval of classified transfers. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, these employees, the reason we're putting them on the agenda is they are increasing in time, and some of them are going from one position to the next. So there's 3 classified employees.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the classified transfers.
By Mr. Lindeman, second.
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Bereen.
Yes. Item H, discussion action on the approval of increase in hours. Ms. Samaniego.
The following classified staff are staying in their same position, just increasing hours in the position that they hold. We have 2 food service workers, and the rest are ESS instructional aides.
And just for clarification, I think you said at the last meeting that some of those food service workers were, the district was able to bring some of the ones.
Yes, we were able to bring, I believe, is it 1 or 2, Mrs. Cott? 1, 2. One more. Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
because that's operating in
Yes,
good faith.
yes, now that we're back in person and keeping our numbers, then we need more staff to work those hours.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
By Mr. Lindeman.
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Discussion. Roll call.
Ms. Salchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Bereen.
Yes. Item I, discussion, action on the approval of donations received by Douglas Unified School District Number 27. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, we have a donation of $500 to DHS football team from Mr. and Mrs. Luis Gallardo, and $400 to DHS golf for equipment apparel from Mr. Bernie Samaniego.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
By Mr. Lindeman.
Second.
Second by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Bereen.
Yes. Item J, discussion action on the approval of fiscal year 2022 capital plan submittal to the Arizona School Facilities Board. Mr. Soto.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a report that we have to submit annually to the School Facilities Board. And it's just basically giving them an update on the enrollment and if we have any capital improvements. There's nothing new in this report, but we know that next year, hopefully with the new addition to the high school, we're going to have to report the new square footage and all that. But for now, it's just a report that.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Second
Second.
by Mr. Ramos. Any discussion?
Mr. President, can I
Yeah.
ask a quick question of Mr. Soto? When you brought up the new wing of the high school, do we have an approximate completion date?
I believe it's going to be a year. They're hoping to be ready before school starts the following year. But worst case scenario is probably going to extend to September, like to give a whole calendar year to the project.
Okay, thank you.
You know, at the ceremony, I spoke to the manager, not the representative, not the manager, and I mentioned to him about the high school gym. And he said that if we were proactive, and you've got to move a little bit, and be a little bit more aggressive, that they might consider that, regardless of whether it fits the criteria, because we could do some things that would have a learning environment in their classrooms and so on. But he did tell me that, so he said that if we'd be a little bit more proactive, maybe we could get consideration on his gym. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you talk to him.
Yeah.
Not the manager, because the rep who, I forget his name.
Nick?
Yeah.
Or Bill?
All right. Motion on the floor?
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes. Item K, discussion action on the approval to pay an invoice from fiscal year 2019-2020 for Paul Huber Middle School yearbooks. Who's going to handle that, Mr. Soto?
Yes,
or-
Mr.
Go
Soto.
ahead.
There was an issue with the yearbook last year. There was a miscommunication with the vendor and the yearbook. And by law, every expenditure that we have to make for previous years, we have to bring it to the board for approval. The money's there, the yearbooks that were sent, were received and everything, so we're just asking authorization for the board to make the payment to the vendor.
Entertain a motion to approve
I move to approve.
by Mr. Lindemann. Second
Second.
by Mr. Ramos. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes. Item M, discussion action pursuant to policy,
L.
We're on L.
Oh, I'm sorry, L. Discussion action on the approval of the intergovernmental agreement between the Arizona Board of Regents, University of Arizona, and Douglas Unified School District 27 to facilitate an educational leadership experience for the University Borderlands Master Teacher Fellowship.
Okay.
Ms. Samaniego?
As presented, Mrs. Rodriguez was contacted by, I believe, Mr. Hinojos, your teacher, and Mr. Hinojos is the teacher that's going to be participating in this program. Our attorney has reviewed the agreement already. There is no cost to the district. This is mainly to establish and give Mr. Hinojos, who's employed by DHS and DUSD, support in developing some STEM learning opportunities in community of practice and school environments. So over the course of the next 5 years, he's going to be part of this program with University of Arizona College of Education. There will be some days where he will have to attend some trainings over about 3 during the course of the year. I believe, Mrs. Rodriguez, you will be part of some of these trainings too. So it's a benefit to Douglas High School and to our STEAM program.
Entertain a motion to approve
I move to approve.
by Mr. Lindemann.
I second.
Second by Ms. Salcho. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes. Item M, discussion action pursuant to BGF to temporarily suspend policy BGB, requiring 2 readings of the proposed policy prior to approval of the adoption in order to approve policy GBEAA, staff conflict of interest, immediately upon the first reading. I want to preface getting into that and hearing from the public. Many times in school districts or in any public agency or entity, there are things that transpire that carry over from year to year. And sometimes policy, rules, and regulations are loosely applied or enforced. The Douglas Unified School District has a situation where the question comes up almost annually about volunteers. We've got opinions and we've got court cases and we've got advice from the trust attorneys. In fact, we have a recent one as of today where the trust is saying, do you have that letter? Oh,
Yes, I have.
Where the trust says, I advise that the district continue with the practice of not allowing employees to supervise relatives as volunteers. Now, that's as of today. Douglas is a small community, and we always want to recognize anybody that's willing to help, especially in the schools. And I can tell you, because of my many years tenure here, and then off and on later, that we've always had people wanted to help in the Douglas Public Schools. And we've had good people, and I can tell you that the volunteers we have now are exceptional. Every one of them are exceptional. Last year, the issue came up, and the board instructed Anna, but I have to tell you, Ms. Samaniego, that it was done in executive session, and we can't reveal the contents of that conversation. However, she came out with a regulation which stipulated that the board had authorized her to, in the administrative reg, to use her judgment and study the situation for a year. In the interim, of course, we didn't have any activity, so there wasn't anything to be concerned about. At the last meeting, we approved, I think, a couple of volunteers, and I think prior we approved a few more. I personally want to say that during that discussion we had, it was kind of informal, but, we talked about the comments by board members were saying, we don't want to bend the rules. The conflict of interest is what it says. You still have a conflict whether you're a volunteer or not. The attorney strongly recommending that we not allow the volunteers because there is a conflict of interest, regardless of what title you put on it. And also, the Attorney General's opinion says that they have a conflict whether they're paid or not, and you people will have copies of that. I'm going to recommend to the board, because I think the feeling was that, yes, we should enforce that. But given the people that we know we have working for us now, I would think it would be totally appropriate to adopt this policy, but to grandfather in every single one of the people until they leave the district as a volunteer. So that would be done by attrition. So as they leave, then we don't have to be concerned about whatever that activity they were involved in. So having said all of that, I hope, and the recommendation, and I'm going to make a recommendation to the board, because I think just the general feeling was that they were amenable to that, is that we're going to adopt the policy, if that's what the board decides, but we're going to grandfather everybody in that's currently working as a volunteer. However, there will be no more volunteers because of the advice of our attorney, because you have to remember, when the attorney advises us to do something, and it's a statute, and if we go against what their advice is, that we're liable. As long as we stay within their advice, we're not liable. But so I'm willing to make that recommendation, and I wanted to say that before we start hearing all the comments, because maybe that will minimize the concern that the people that want to address the board regarding that might have. That might be the major concern about the present volunteers. So with that, and I understand we have many comments, and then we have some, I think, that are
Yes.
present. Do we have some that are present as well?
Yes, so my recommendation would be to allow our public comments to be read for those members of the public that are here.
Okay.
And then I have about 20 public comment emails that I will be reading.
Okay, so let's,
We have-
let's do it.
Okay, Marta Alonso?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Ms. Samaniego, members of the public. I turned mine in last. I was supposed to go last.
Sorry.
Well, I come in as DA president this year and representing some of our members that are behind me and have concerns about this. My comment to the board, though, is that we are a small, big town. We do have a lot of members in our community. We have a lot of students in our schools. But it's about a third, and I'm very confident saying about a third of our students are athletes, and they do every single sport. And about a third of our staff are advisors, and they do every single club. And the same goes with coaches. They move from one season to the other. And the people standing behind me coach 2-3 different seasons. So they spend a lot of time away from their family members. And instead of their family members saying, we want you to stop and we want you to be home, they're willing to come with them and help them and volunteer. and they are willing to give up that time themselves. And so it is very difficult when we hear these type of policies that are going to put a stop to that or make it harder for the people that want to help us to help. And you're right, Mr. Brain, a lot of people do want to help in our community, but a lot of the times they want to help for certain events or a little bit of the time. So they're willing to come out to the James track meet to help, but that's one day. But they're not willing to be there every single day. And the people that are representing have that type of volunteer and would like to keep them. So I very happily to hear that Mr. Brain has something for the current volunteers. But for the future, I would ask that you consider allowing Ms. Samaniego that ability to consider, do we have other people that are willing to help? Because we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot and then later on not be able to have people show up and volunteer or be willing to coach because of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, yeah.
We have Hunter Long.
Good evening. Hunter Long, head football coach for Douglas High School football. Kind of no-brainer as to why I'm here. My father, he's an assistant coach with me as volunteer coach. Just as Mrs. Alonso stated, I also agree with her recommendation as to allow Mrs. Samaniego to allow her to kind of see different circumstances, different situations, just because for the fact that, yes, our current volunteer coaches, they're great. There's going to be other great ones that come in the future. And just like she stated, this is a small town, this is a small community, and we might have highly qualified personnel coming on down the road, and that might be great for the kids. And if we tell them no, the kids are going to lose out on that, the parents are going to lose out on that, and the public's going to lose out on that. And so for me, I could sit here and spitball all night long, but I got some letters from some parents, some concerned parents concerning this issue, also some students. So I'll just go ahead and take some quotes from their letters. From Mr. Yanez, we owe it to these children to give them a normal year with no interruptions or distractions after last year. Hence, COVID this past season kind of distracted them from everything going on. They couldn't really focus on everything they had. And so now, kind of throwing this little wrench in there kind of got them pretty worried as to if they're going to be losing their coaches. And so just something to keep in mind. Also, Mrs. Torres, another parent, one of his greatest mentors, speaking of my volunteer coach, who has impacted him the most is Coach Bobby Long. He has shown my son not only how to play the game, but appreciate and love it while succeeding in school. Mr. and Mrs. Castillo, we have gotten the privilege to know Bobby Long, or as many of the football players know him as Coach Papa Long, and he a man whose ethics, empathy, and altruism are beyond reproach. He has been such a positive impact on our son, and we are forever grateful for Coach Bobby Long's presence in our son's life. Coach Bobby Long gives so much of his time, energy, and effort to our young men, and it is clear to see the amount of respect and admiration that our young men have for him. We have witnessed many of these young men arrive to practice early and stay late just to talk to Coach Bobby Long and be able to spend time with him. Lastly, from our team captain, Kevin Ibada, speaking on behalf of the Douglas High School football team. His letter is also signed by the rest of the high school football team. Quoted, his presence on the team is a big part of what brings us together as a family, treating us like his own. He has shown us how dedicated he is to help the players improve on the football field and in life when becoming men. He expects the absolute best out of us and gives us his. That just goes to show, how important these volunteers are to our programs and, to all of our programs, not just football. I'm talking softball, cheer, all these coaches behind me. And to take away opportunities from future coaches, I think would be highly, highly unethical. I think it'd be great if Mrs. Samaniego still kept this opportunity to be able to make those decisions. My opinion, of course, it's going to be up to you guys to make that. You guys are supposed to be serving the public. You guys speak on behalf of the public. This is what the public's saying, and I hope you guys make the best decision for our programs. Thank you.
No, that's very important what you said, and we appreciate those comments. But let's get down to something as serious as that. How are you going to do Friday night?
Hey, we're looking good, weather permitting. I'm hoping we could practice. Last night, unfortunately, we got cut short, and today weather doesn't sound too good, but I'm hoping we can get something in. But we're looking good, and I'm hoping good things for our boys.
Let me ask you, while you're up there, Hunter, do the football players, people in the athletic program, although it's waned over the years, do they still see the importance of beating Bisbee?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, I think I don't know about, before I got here. I know certainly when I was in high school, it was definitely important. And I know we're definitely bringing that mindset back to our guys, and they're hungry, and they definitely want to bring that pick back home. So, yes, for sure.
Okay, great. Because we always have to remember, Bisbee's Bisbee regardless of and I know they've got a lot of animosity towards us. And anybody that's grown up here, like Dr. Gomez and myself, and, we played against them, and we played in that game and everything. I just hope that that's always instilled in them.
Oh, yeah, correct. Yeah,
Okay, great.
we're big on tradition, so we're definitely keeping that tradition alive. So no worries there.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Hunter, and good luck. Okay, do we have anybody else?
Yes. We have Mayor Hewish.
Good evening, everyone, and I appreciate that, Mr. President, for allowing me to speak, and board members. I'm not here as the mayor. I'm here as Donald Hewish of 2315 East 11th Street, and a parent of 10 children that have gone through the programs here at Douglas High School, and I've seen the different aspects and the excellence that has come out. I applaud you for wanting the best for the children. And I think if the best for the children is to find the best person to be out there to be able to help regardless of what goes on. I understand the legal ramifications. Maybe the next question that could be proposed to your lawyer staff is, how do we get this done still? And to see if whether or not they're willing to come up with a way to be able to make that happen. There are schools throughout the county. I don't know if they belong to the pool or not, or what type of advice they're getting. There's schools, one that's been in the news here past couple of years, Corona del Sol in Tempe, father and son combination. They're throughout the state, and so it puzzles me why that they told you it was part of a statute, and that statute not only applies to people in the pool, but it applies to everyone.
Absolutely.
And so I'm not sure where that's coming from. That's obviously the safest route to go, to be able to do that. But I would also like to, I always don't like to come up and express a problem without it to try to offer a solution. I'm wondering if that there cannot be some way to not have direct supervision of family members. In other words, that I hate to throw any more work onto Angel, but maybe Angel's the one that evaluates them and they report to, and if there's issues there. But I have every confidence in Mrs. Samaniego and the coaching staff that if there's an issue, that it'll get taken care of. And so that's why I think it would be very short-sighted to be able to deny someone that's volunteered. We've already talked about a small town and those kind of things, but I think when you put it in perspective of what's best for the kids, I think that's where it comes down to, let's find the best people, wherever and whoever they are, and let's try to put them out there as a team, as a united front. Let them be supervised by someone else.
Mayor, that is the little ruse that they do use, that they have them be supervised. But however, there's other things that always have to be taken into consideration. There's staff grievances against, say, a coach.
Yep.
And we've had them. We've had one now. There's grievances, and in the grievance procedure, the process is it goes to the immediate supervisor, and then it goes to the central administration. But how do you get around that? Then you have parents, maybe I'm talking about employees with the grievance. Then you have parents that have a complaint against, say, a volunteer.
Right.
And then the person that's in charge of that department who has the conflict has to deal with it. And that's all the things that are taken into consideration when we, and the board's been inundated with information regarding conflict of interest. I mean, for a couple of weeks now, regarding, all the statutes, the Attorney General's opinions, the court cases and all that. And it always comes out that a conflict is a conflict. And 38506, which is the conflict of interest statute, is very specific, and it's promulgated everywhere, and it applies to everybody. How they get around it other places, we don't know. But
Right.
but we definitely, and I hope I'm speaking for the board, and I think I am, because I know what their sentiments are. We're going to take care of these people that are here now, because we appreciate them. But and I think that once by attrition, I think we're going to have to go with the advice of our attorney. One last comment. that sword cuts both ways. There are a lot of people that have, I don't know if they've contacted board members or not, but that have said, we've been adversely affected by that. We were turned down a promotion because we couldn't do this. And we had to be transferred because we had a conflict. And I mean, there's incidents all over. And when I said earlier that, and never any blame on past administrations, but it's always difficult when you come in and you see a situation that needs to be rectified because the law is the law, then all of these other things that happen come into play. And there's been a lot of people in this district that have been adversely affected, as I said, by that conflict, and this administration and past administrations didn't do it. And that's why some of these conflicts, not only with the volunteers, are existing other places, because that wasn't enforced. And so there's, people are sitting there saying, well, that sword cuts both ways. What about me? I got turned down because I couldn't do it. So anyway, that's just kind of in response.
It's a difficult situation, and I don't envy you at all to be in that. But again, I would ask your attorney, what can we do? Is there anything flat out that we can do to be able to make this happen? And yes, those people may, they may still be in the program for another 5 years. But when Hunter beats Bisbee the next 5 years and U of A comes calling and wants to hire him on, there may be a new Hunter that comes along and also has a relative that, would love to have. We all know the history of everywhere that there's been father, son, and brother combinations that, allow that to happen. You can even go at a state level. If that exists at a state level, how did Archie Miller work for Sean Miller as an assistant coach? And you couldn't be more visible than that. And I'd love to be a lawyer in that room to say, I just point right there. You tell me what I'm doing wrong, then how did you allow that? Because that's very public and that's very out there in the open.
Unfortunately, we saw what happened to Sean Miller, though.
Well,
But no, seriously.
But what I'm trying to get across, Mr. President, in all due respect, is that I would hope that it's not a mute issue, that we go an extra mile to try to find out what can we do to put the best people out there to help our children. And I read your policy, and I know it's aligned with the law and everything, but gosh, if I feel bad. I'm sure Mrs. Selchow wanted to serve on the board, maybe 5 years ago, but couldn't because Dagon Bosco wouldn't let go of the reins of the golf club. And that's a shame.
Yeah.
That's an out-and-out shame to have a good person that wants to volunteer and help on the school board and give the time and sacrifice to do that is denied because she has that conflict of interest. And it's amazing to me that we get laws passed for the state of Maricopa, and the rest of the state, we have to suffer through those. But I applaud you, and I would encourage you that let's not forget this, and let's try to take it as far as we can to make sure that we allow these good people to be able to
Let me make
us.
one comment regarding the board. The board is covered by a completely different statute on conflict of
I
interest.
know, but it's still no good.
No, I know, exactly. But I mean, when people always, they say, well, what about the board? Well, the board members, they're completely covered by a different statute. Donnie, we really want to thank you for coming down and expressing your opinion there. We really appreciate it. And we're going to acknowledge it, but we'll see what we decide, but we're going to try to do the best we can right now for the people we have working
I
hard
understand.
for us.
My pleasure, Coach, and if there's anything ever we can do to help, we're here, because this is our community.
Thank you very much,
And-
and we appreciate you guys working with the staff on the football and baseball field.
Just don't send Mr. Soto anymore, and the deal will probably be done real fast. But thank you, and go Bulldogs.
Thank you very much, really appreciate it. Okay, go ahead, now we're going to get
Yes,
into the
we
vote.
have Ms. Lorena Tapia.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, Ms. Amaniego, board members, and our public that's here. A little nervous, but today I'm here to speak up on behalf of DHS Sports and the decision that will be made pertaining to the conflict of interest in relation to the relatives coaching together. I would like to ask the board, Mr. Brain, Ms. Amaniego to reconsider the idea of relatives coaching together. I strongly believe that our sports will be affected by this decision, not having them volunteer. I say volunteers because the majority of the ones being affected are volunteers. They give their time, their dedication, coaching ability without pay and without hesitation. They serve our school, our community, and many different students and many different athletes. They spend a lot of time helping our student athletes, like with a certified coach. They spend countless hours beside the head coach to ensure that each student athlete is successful on and off the field. Pertaining to our softball program, I strongly believe that not having Coach Tapia will definitely affect our program. Coach Tapia has always acted professionally and has always put the athletes first. As coaches, we strive to make our programs a success and try to build relationships that carry on for a lifetime. As coaches, we take pride in our school, community, and student athletes. That's why we look for the best coaching staff. You can ask other coaches, parents, community members, our girls, present and past, that Coach Max is one of the best. Our district has always shown that our kids come first. As coaches, we strongly back it up. They do come first. This decision being made today will most definitely affect our kids and our athletic programs. I hope that you may reconsider and let our volunteers stay. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorena. Thank you for coming down. And thank Max, too, for all he does. Seriously.
Yes, Mrs. Armejo?
It's Barayardos now.
Oh,
It's
yes.
been- I read your
Only
email.
for about
and-
8 years, but.
Good evening, Ms. Samaniego, Board President Borain, and the rest of the school board. I'm Andrea Barayardos, and I'm the head coach of the Douglas High School cheer team. My husband has been a volunteer coach with me for the past 8 or 9 years. He's dedicated countless hours to the success of the program, helping us to an AIA runner-up title, partner stunt title in 2019, and a state championship in co-ed cheer in 2014 and a runner-up title in 2016. I could not have done it without the help of and support of my volunteers, especially my husband. And his only downfall, I guess, is that he's my husband now, right? But I truly believe when our students see people coming back to help, it inspires them to want to do the same. We live in a small community with limited resources, which includes volunteers. I could say probably all of us, we don't have people knocking down our doors saying, hey, can I help with the cheer team? Can I help do this? We're actively trying to recruit people to help us. Many of the volunteers in the district are family members. It makes sense because, for one, they are our biggest support system. And secondly, they are living in Douglas and they want to help. Our children, spouses, parents, and siblings are the network of support for many of us, and they are many times from this community. They are products of this school system. They played on these teams, and they want to help our kids. Some of them have unique abilities and trainings that they acquired outside of Douglas, and now they want to come and enhance our programs with those trainings. For example, my husband helps with co-ed partner stunting and tumbling. There's no one else in Douglas that has that skill. If you prevent him from volunteering, then you are taking that away from our athletes. I have heard you speak about how important it is to instill a sense of community in our youth, so that one day they will want to come back to Douglas and give back and help and be examples to our kids. If you pass this new conflict of interest to include volunteers, you are sending them the message, we want you to help, but not if you're a family member. Please do not take these assets away from our kids, our future even coaches. Our district should not turn away people eager to help just because they are relatives. I do appreciate you guys taking time to listen to my concerns. And you guys all know Douglas is built with a foundation of family. Families built this city, and families will continue to build this city, but we can't do it if you don't allow them to help support the coaches that are already here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have Ms. Donna Seville.
Good evening. Can you hear me now? Here we go. There was a lot of comments that have been made that I would already said. So I guess I have questions. So, Mr. Lindeman, you did band. Do you have a lot of volunteers come out and help you? Or did you have to knock on the doors and...
And only a few brave parents.
Yeah. Yeah, parents. Parents who are related to the members, yes? Yeah.
Well,
That's
you know,
a conflict
let
of
me stop
interest,
you right
yes?
there. That is not on the agenda. We're discussing the employees, not the board. I pointed out that Mayor Hewish, he was being lighthearted about it, but let's keep it clear that these board members wouldn't be sitting here if they weren't legitimately seated by the law. So let's not get to board members. Let's stick with what's on the agenda, and we're talking about volunteers. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's not where I was going. I guess that's...
Well, but you said, you mentioned...
No,
the
my
board
question, my only question was to him as a past employee to get his vision.
Okay.
That's where I'm going. Okay. It would be difficult, yes, as a band teacher without those volunteers, right? You understand that. And then, Dr. Gomez, you have a daughter also who I know has worked with me, who we run Ted James. Without those volunteers, I don't know what I would do. And they're related. We have people who come out who are related to that coaching staff. Not only am I a coach, I'm also a HOSA advisor. And so when I go on trips, instead of pulling from staff to help supervise, I have to pull from family to do it. And so that's volunteering. And so that's an issue. So I guess the question is, what are we looking at? What is this? What is the spectrum here? Because you need to tell me, because you're taking away so many volunteers right now by this, because we have a huge staff that pulls in these families to come help out because they depend on them. Because I'm going to tell you right now, for Ted James, I beg and plead to get volunteers out there and not to pull from staff so that they don't miss school. We pull in families, which actually they miss work. They're paying the dime to do it. So can we ask that question? What is the spectrum of this policy?
You know, it's always very difficult when you're dealing with something you don't really have any discretion with. It's a state statute.
I understand.
You know, if your concerns are about that statute, that conflict of interest law is very, very widely written, and it's very specific. And if you have any questions, talk to your legislator. Get them
Okay.
to change the law. You know, we don't have any discretion in this.
I
The
get
only
that.
discretion we have today, and especially because the strong advice that was given by our attorney, is that, and I'm hoping, and I know, and I have confidence in this board, that I feel certain that they're going to grandfather in everybody. And those are the ones we're worried about right now. That's what we're addressing right now. The present volunteers and how we would affect your program and everybody else's program. And we don't want to do anything to hinder you or cast a negative spell on you.
I get that, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the consideration. But we still have the law, do we not?
The law is there, but if our discretion, as I mentioned earlier, the situation right now wasn't caused by the present administration. And I, like I said, I don't want to cast any aspersion on past administration. But the point being is that it was loosely applied. And a lot of people are in positions right now that never should have ever been even considered for because of that law, and it was never applied. And again, and I'm going to say it again, there's some people sitting out here, and there's some that are probably at home that are thinking, you know, I was adversely affected by that. I lost money. I didn't get the promotion. I was told I couldn't apply. All of those things. So, you know, we're going to do the best we can, Donna. And it's not a comfortable situation for this board right now. But we're going to take care of, and this is being totally trite, but I feel we're going to take care of the present situation, and then we're going to go from there, okay? And then your concerns about the statute, take it up with the legislature. Talk to your state representative and your state senator and tell them, change that conflict of interest law. But it's been there a long time, and it's affected many people.
So can I ask you another question? Can we get with our AEA lawyers and look at that law and see how other school districts are doing it, and come back and present it?
I'm not, you know what, other school districts have lawsuit coming out the top of their head. Other school districts don't adhere to the purchasing and the use suffer and the state board purchasing rules and regulations. You can read all over the state them having problems. So don't come in here and tell us we're trying to do the best we can in this district, in this board, by adhering to the law and as things arise, addressing them. So other school districts, let them do whatever they think they want to do. A lot of them get in trouble. But I don't want to hear about other school districts, to be honest with you.
Mr. Brame, all due respect, I'm not coming in here telling you what to do. I was asking questions. That's all I'm asking. Just trying to figure it all out. That's all I'm trying to do, with all respect.
Okay, good. All right.
That's
You have
all
any
I'm
more?
trying to ask.
You have any more questions?
That's all I have. I guess the one that I still would wonder about is the volunteers that come out. How do we deal with that? Like when we have swim meets, we need timers, or we have track meets and HOSA events, CTE events. How do we fit that in? Is that part of this policy to fit in?
The people that help, go ahead.
May I answer that? As the attorney responded today, there is an allowable exception. And obviously, many of us that are educators, we've had those volunteers for a field trip or for a hamburger fry event or for a swim meet and things like that. Those are the one-time or a couple-time events. So an allowable exception could be made for those one-time or short-term volunteer positions or field trips, assisting at a school event or a sport. So they don't necessarily
Right.
ever have to go to the board for approval or fill out an application, because all of us who are teachers and have coached or sponsored clubs, we've all used them at one time or another. So that is still an allowable exception to be made.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And thank you. And you know, do we have anybody else?
No. Not here, at least. Okay. Oh, Melissa.
You know, it's a rare opportunity that we get to publicly thank all of our coaches that are here today. And thank you for all the hard work you do, and we realize all the extra hours you put in, and we really appreciate that. And we're going to be more appreciative, Hunter, Saturday morning.
No pressure.
No, Hunter, you know I'm just joshing with you, but we sure want to win that game.
I have Melissa Rodriguez.
Oh, Melissa?
Yes. Mhm.
First of all, good evening, Mr. Barain, members of the board, Superintendent Samaniego, and everyone here today. So I know this is a very difficult situation to be in. I completely get that, and you know, I do appreciate that you are going to grandfather in the volunteers that we have thus far. But I just kind of want to share with you, you know, my experiences with volunteers. So I come to you this evening as a community member, representing parents, volunteers, and as a coach myself, because I have coached in the past. So if you didn't know, my husband and I have been involved in several youth organizations over the last 10 years here in Douglas, such as AYSO, Chargers, football, cheer, and Little League. And with my experience in these organizations, I've learned the true value of having volunteers in our community. Many times the volunteers are close family members because who else can we trust and rely on to be there for you, especially when you have limited resources. And I can tell you from experience, being in Little League, it's very, very, very difficult to get volunteers. So as far as I can recall, family members, just like everybody said, have been an integral part of our school community as well as our city. So from personal experience, my own father, okay, I'm going to put him out there. He was honored as being the homecoming dedicatee in 1994. Why? Because of his active participation in our schools and community. So he was a volunteer back in the day without even knowing it, without going through all the bells and whistles that volunteers have to go through now. But he was recognized because just like my father, we have other members in this community, other family members of the people that are here present that demonstrate the same qualities. Our district, schools, and extracurricular activities, so this is not just pertaining to athletics, would not be what they are today without these volunteers. So as a board member of our local Little League, we've relied on the help of volunteers in order to sustain the league in the various aspects of league needs. For example, just using my family alone, I had my brother scorekeeping and announcing our games for us, my son umpiring, my other son keeping score, taking pitch count, and my sister even helping in the concession stand. That's just my family alone. And without them, we wouldn't be able to give the opportunity that we have for our youth. So now I remember myself as a student of Douglas High School, and I can recall the numerous volunteers that helped during the course of my high school years that served a vital role as a volunteer. I was in band as a band member. I can recall my band director's wife helping endlessly with helping us with uniforms, helping us with our instruments, helping in making sure monitoring kids were doing what they needed to do. And on another note, through the course of history, it's not as a volunteer, but I can recall numerous cases where close relatives worked together. As an athlete, there was sisters coaching volleyball together at different levels, one as a varsity coach, one as a JV coach. And as a student, I didn't have just one, but two occasions. I had two different principals when I was in high school, and both of them had their wives working at Douglas High School the same time they served as principals of the school. So in a small community like Douglas, it's difficult to avoid a situation as you deem a conflict of interest. Family roots are what make our community what it is today. With this revision to the policy, I now fear that this will not limit us even more to find volunteers to help our students, but more so to lose great coaches because of it. So not only does this impact athletics, but also regular volunteers that help in our classroom. So I think that's an oversight. As a principal in this school district, we've had volunteers, and I remember one so vividly in my mind as I was an elementary principal. We had a grandmother of one of our teachers, and she was there every day as a volunteer, helping students that had difficulty in her classroom. And so this is not just about athletics or extracurricular. It's even going to impact volunteers that come and help in our classrooms as well. So please keep in mind, a volunteer is a selfless job. Volunteers give time, energy, and motivation to help our students. So please, I ask to reconsider this revision. And on a final note, I ask you board members that have family or have had family in the district, are you going to tell me that in one way or another, you did not serve as a volunteer in some capacity? So after reviewing policy GBEAA, which states, I'm reading the section employment of close relatives. So no person employed by the district may directly supervise by a close relative. Examples: father, mother, son, daughter, sister, brother, or spouse. This policy will apply for summer or part-time work as well as for full-time employment. The other section reads, a dependent of a board member, a person more than half of whose support is obtained from a board member, cannot be hired in the district except by consent of the board. The spouse of a board member cannot be employed by the district. So I leave you with this question. Why does a conflict of interest differ for a board member than it does for the employees of this district? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Melissa. And again, that's two different statutes that cover the board and cover the employees. Adopted by the legislature. Do any board members, is that the last person we have present who wants to?
I believe so. And then I have multiple emails that I received and Mrs. Valenzuela
Okay,
received
go
as
ahead,
public
go ahead.
comments. So I will start with the first one. This is from Marisa Morales Lopez, a former Douglas alumni. It has been brought to my attention that there is an action to remove family members from coaching alongside each other. This action would cause changes to the Douglas High School softball program, which would be a huge mistake that would be made. I graduated from Douglas High School in 2015 and played varsity softball from my freshman year through senior. I played for Coach Avery Halba with Coach Max Tapia as the assistant, and I also played for Coach Lorena Tapia with Coach Max as the assistant as well. I can honestly say that during those years, Coach Max made a huge impact on the program no matter who he was coaching with. As many may think that because of his wife as the head coach there would be a conflict of interest, I can affirm this was never the case. The relationship between Coach Lorena and Coach Max was always professional, always referred to each other as coach and never as each other as spouses, assuring the best interest of the team above all circumstances. As a former Bulldog, it is saddening to think that a Douglas Bulldog icon can be removed so easily after he was trusted to assistant coaching for 14 years, 2007 to the current year. Coach Max has made a huge impact in so many athletes' lives. Had it not been for Coach Lorena and Coach Max, I may have never advanced in my talent in playing college softball. The connection they have as coaches is what helped me frame me into a better player. Coach Max always pushed me to be better and gave me the opportunity to see that I was truly capable of as an athlete. I can assure you he has made the same impact on so many other girls' softball careers as he helped them become all-star players and reach their goals for advancing into a college or a university program. It would be a dishonor to remove Coach Max as the assistant coach. The benefits of having him help run the softball program outweigh the cons by a large amount. I understand if the decision needs to be made to refuse family members from coaching together, but this should take action from now going forward, and Coach Max should be grandfathered in, allowing him to remain as the assistant softball coach. It would be a shame to have him leave after all he has done for the athletic department, such as putting Douglas High School into the eyes of coaches through the country. As a small town, we are finally recognized and appreciated because of him. Please take this into consideration. Next, I have one from Deanna Rojas. I am writing this letter in regards to Coach Max Tapia. I have 2 daughters on the varsity team, and they have been playing since they were freshmen. Since I can remember, my dream has always been for them to play varsity softball with both Coach Max Tapia and Lorena Tapia. They both are humble, respectable, and you can see the love they have both for the softball girls and the sport. They are both dedicated, patient, and they both have the skills to teach all of our girls the softball skills to be outstanding softball players. I have never heard them complain. They are there every day after school and ready to play ball. You can see it in their eyes and their actions that this is something they love to do. Coach Tapia is part of the team, and he has been for many years. I feel removing him will affect the team as a whole. It will not be the same. Please, I ask you from the bottom of my heart to reconsider your decision. Analia Rojas. My name is Analia Rojas, and I've been playing varsity since my freshman year. Coach Max is a great coach. He is humble, respectful, and is very knowledgeable about softball. He has also made a great impact on our team. I am asking to please not remove Coach Max, who is a big part of our team and has been for years. I feel that if Coach Max Tapia is removed, it will affect all of us as a team. We are a team all together with Coach Lorena and Coach Max. I am heartbroken to know that he may no longer be our coach. I have learned so much, and I will continue to learn from him. He has made me the player that I am today. I wish he will continue to do so for the remainder of my high school years. Please reconsider your decision. Next, Estevani Rojas. My name is Estevani Rojas. I am writing this letter as I do not agree with our school board on not letting relatives coach together. Coach Max and Lorena Tapia have been a big part of my softball career the last few years. Max is an amazing coach. He knows what he is doing and has always helped the team. He spends multiple hours with us on the field. This year, he has been coaching me since freshman year, and I can't explain how thankful I am for both him and Mrs. Tapia. They have been there since day one and helped me become a better ball player than I was my freshman year. I really do hope that he can continue coaching and the girls that continue after I graduate, because the multiple hours he puts on that field and his willingness to help the team better themselves, he deserves to be on that field more than anyone. Alicia La Madrid. It has been brought to my attention that the board is considering labeling the action of family members coaching together as a conflict of interest. Proceeding with this decision would greatly impact the Douglas High School softball program and other programs as well. With our softball program specifically, this would affect the situation with our secondary coach, Max Tapia. Max has been a vital part of our program for many years now and has been the root of our team's progression and success. I have been part of this program for my entire high school career, and so has Coach Tapia. He has been an amazing mentor, coach, leader who has been the pillar of encouragement and growth for our program. I understand that the board is trying to make decisions in order for the district as a whole to thrive. However, we are limited with volunteers, and Max has always been consistent in investing countless hours of coaching in order to help improve the team. He has been there for every single game, tournament, scrimmage, practice. He never fails to uplift us on our hard days and encourage us to keep working towards our personal and team goals. Programs such as ours are a family because we are constantly together fighting to bring the best representation of our town and school district. Following through this decision would be tearing apart pieces of the family we have built over the years and would not allow us to function with full potential. Please take the time to reconsider this decision. It would mean a great deal to our respected coaches and programs. This is from Alicia Guerrero. Hello, Mrs. Samaniego. I am emailing you regarding the situation and relatives not being able to coach with one another. Coach Max Tapia has helped with the softball team in so many ways, including myself. He has helped me improve in several ways as an individual player. Without him and Coach Tapia, I wouldn't be the athlete I am today. They both worked as coaches together to improve the team. It would not be the same without him. I would hate to see him go after seeing what he has done for this team. This is from Jessica Quinones, a former high school graduate and I believe softball player. Superintendent Samaniego, it has been brought to the community's attention that the district is trying to strip the ability of relatives to coach together. In my personal experience as a former Bulldog athlete from 2010 to 2014, the decision would be devastating to move a lot of the sports programs DHS offers its students. Particularly speaking, the softball program would take a huge loss in not allowing Max Tapia to continue coaching the softball varsity team alongside Lorena Tapia. Max has been part of the softball program for many years and has helped coach and develop many athletes to not only improve their skills and move on to the collegiate level, but also improve their service to the community. Both Max and Mrs. Tapia have coached and mentored numerous athletes on the field and in their lives outside of the field. In my personal experience with Coach Tapia, we first met when I was a freshman traveling with the varsity softball team for tournaments. Not only did he help me develop my skills, but also formed a coach-athlete relationship that would help me better understand the game of softball and try to play different positions in order to help the team. He taught me what it means to not only be a team, but a close-knit family where each one of us can count on another, which in turn helped the softball program to be as successful as it is today. Max and Lorena have been the greatest blessings to me in my softball career. Max has always been a great coach and mentor, taking time out of his day to sit me down and let me know how I can improve the game. Max is always available to set aside extra time from practice to help anyone who would like extra help, regardless of the position or if it was defensive or offensive help. He's helped develop my skills through my 4 years in high school, and I will forever be grateful to him, because that's not only did I have a successful and fun softball career at the high school level, I then moved on to play at the college level. I am only one of many athletes who he aided in getting them to play the sport level. Not only is Max a wonderful coach and mentor, but he understands that the game of softball so much as to be able to teach it to a new oncoming players who are wanting to pursue the program. He understands what it is to take it to the next level. I believe that's what it makes him such a successful coach alongside Mrs. Tapia. It has taken a strong and committed pair of coaches to keep the softball program one of the strongest Southern Arizona has to offer. No matter what skills or talent the program sees, the Tapia duo always find a way to make it success because they know the game better than anyone. This statement I can only say with certainty because it's coming from myself, a former athlete who has participated in softball programs from the age of 4 all the way through 21. I have played in numerous travel ball teams all over Arizona with softball coach Abe Grijalva, played for Nick Candrea at the collegiate level, University of Arizona softball head coach Mike Candrea's brother, and yet not one single coach has positively impacted my life like both the Tapias. The decision to remove these coaches working together in such a small community such as Douglas will be a huge negative impact. These coaches know the game and have studied it for many years, having knowledge and experience that you won't find anywhere else. The DHS varsity softball program has and will be continued a success not only for the players and their game, but also for their lives outside of the field. And this comes with you and only with Max and Lorena Tapia as coaches. Yolanda Yvette Soto, a former Douglas High School student. I played softball for 4 years, playing JV and varsity my freshman year, then moving to varsity officially after my sophomore. I started playing for Mrs. Tapia and Mr. Tapia summer going into my freshman year. When I started with them, I was intimidated by older girls thinking I wasn't good enough. But I was good. I learned that all from Coach Max. I got my confidence from him throughout my years because he taught me things I didn't know that I needed to know, if that makes any sense. I remember specifically one time during my junior year as a tournament up in Phoenix, one specific game I wasn't playing the way I should have. I was playing very lazy and very slumped. Coach Max pulled me aside and just said to me, "Now I know you can do better than what you are showing. Show us the person we know you are." That game I hit first home run on paper. Coach Max also taught me things before games based on which pitcher we were facing, and he would give me tips. He isn't just a softball coach. He puts his heart and soul into coaching. His coaching has made me not only a better player, but also an instructor at my current job. Because of him, I am able to teach little girls playing travel ball, as well as how to do little things to help them during games. Without him, I could honestly say that your softball program will slowly fall apart. Mrs. Tapia is a head coach, yes, but Coach Max is the bread and butter to that program. Sorry, Lorena. He changed my softball career, and to this day, I thank him for making me a better softball player. Let him be a part of the program, because without him, it will fall apart. My name is Suraya Lugo. I am a parent volunteer coach for the Lady Bulldog softball team. I have been helping Coach Lorena Tapia and Max Tapia with the girls and the team since my daughter was a junior in high school, and helped out with the travel team as well. She graduated in 2015, but I continue to help out. My younger daughter joined the traveling team when she was 6th grader, and I continue to stay with the team. I am still volunteering and helping out in practices and games. Coach Lorena and Max Tapia have been great coaches. They are great with the girls. The girls respond to them with great attitude and respect. The program would not be the same without Coach Max. We never have had any issues nor problems. There have always been a total respect with the team and the parents. Both coaches go out of the way to be here for the girls in and out of the field. They make sure how the school comes first. They put their time and personal time to practice, and also for the traveling team. They put 100%, 110% to the girls, to the team. What is wrong with having a relatives help coach? What is hurting the athlete? How is it hurting the athlete? Why is this an issue? It has never been a problem. Douglas High School athletic programs have a lot of coaches who have been there since the beginning and have left, and also coaches who are still working with the athletes. This has never come up, and it has never been a problem. The football program, baseball program, wrestling team, and the softball program will lose great coaches, assistant coaches, and or volunteers. You're making a huge mistake by accepting not to have relatives help coach. It has not hurt anyone. It has not been any issue for many years, so now why? So why now? This is Andrea Lugo, class of 2015. We are writing this letter in regards to a proposal that the Douglas Douglas School District is wanting to make. The proposal of wanting to make it a rule that relatives cannot coach together in sports. As former students and athletes of Douglas High School, we believe this is wrong and unfair. Different coaches have come and gone from Douglas, whether they are related or not. It was never an issue or problem, so why is it now? Douglas High School has had alumni coaches, assistant coaches, volunteers in all sports in all divisions. People related or not has nothing to do with how one coaches. There is no reason why you are wanting to make it a rule that relatives cannot coach together. You will be affecting a lot of sports that have gone a long way for Douglas High School. In the softball program, Coach Lorena Max Tapia. The baseball program, where Coach Fabiano Ochoa and Diego Ochoa assisting him. For football, Coach Hunter Long and his dad helping out. For wrestling, Coach Ross and his son helping out. As for the softball program, the coaches have been a huge asset. The Tapias are the best duo in the program. Both have been great with all players, pushing them to do their best, not only on the field, but especially in school. They have always had an open door relationship with the athletes. Me and my sister have been coached by Coach Max Tapia since our freshman year. With me, I was playing varsity softball as a freshman, started second base by Coach Grijalva, and Coach Max Tapia was the assistant coach. My junior year, Coach Tapia took over varsity, and Coach Max Tapia stayed as an assistant coach, and I was a starter shortstop. I played travel ball. I graduated in 2015 and went on to play Phoenix College and then played at Mesa. My sister began playing with the Tapias travel ball, and when she was in 6th grade, she was so ready for her freshman year of high school, she made starter varsity level as a pitcher and second base. My sister is currently attending Eastern Community College on a full ride scholarship playing softball. This would be her second year there. Many other girls have graduated and have gone on to play the next level, and they would tell you that it was because both Coach Lorena and Coach Max helped push them and believe that it was them believe in us so we could go far. There has never been complaints. You can ask parents and they will tell you that both coaches are great. They care a lot about the program, love the game, but most importantly, they care about the girls. You will be making a huge mistake. And I'm going to get a drink of water, please.
You want Denise to read the rest of it?
I may just share some. Yeah. My name is Lucia Pedrosa. I started practicing softball this summer with Tapia and Max since I was given the opportunity to participate this summer so that I could enter the varsity team this year from sophomore to high school. Sophomore year in high school. With the little that I have known them, I consider them impressive coaches. They've made us improve a lot as a team. They are great, respectful people. Coach Max is knowledgeable about softball, and he has taught us what he knows and improves every day. He has been part of our team for years. I feel that if Coach Max is removed, it would affect the whole team a lot. We are complete team with Coach Lorena Tapia, Coach Max Tapia, and I'm sad that Coach Tapia wouldn't be able to teach us anymore. I have learned a lot from him, and he has taught me how to be a better player, improve as a shortstop, and I know he will teach me more things to make and stand out. My team and I would like you to consider this decision. Mr. and Mrs. Galas, we are sending you this email regarding the possible change in coaching staff. We wish you to consider your motion to prevent any relatives from coaching together. Our children have student athletes throughout the high school years and have been coached by different coaches who are related to each other and others whom are not related. There has not been a significant difference between my children being coached by relatives or non-relatives. We did, however, notice that teams are more united, the morale is much more better when they have played for coaches who are relatives. Having relative coaches provide the team with a family-oriented environment. Related coaches get along, work together better, and share the same interest in helping the kids be successful, not only as a player, but also as to teach the kids to be good Samaritans. What can we say What we can say that it is hard to get good coaches willing to put in the time, hard work, and dedication. I was a coach myself for several years for the City League, and I know how much time it takes away from your daily duties as a spouse and as a parent. It's always easier to focus on my team when my spouse or any relative was willing to coach alongside me. I can tell you firsthand that changing your coaching staff to non-relatives would not only cause a hardship to the coaches, but will be a tremendous harm to the children who love their coaches. Please do not put our coaching staff in a situation where they have to make heartbreaking decisions from having to choose between coaching or kids or their own family. Debani Galas. As a student athlete who coached for two people who are relatives, I am concerned by the decision that our board is trying to make. For instance, I am currently a softball player for Douglas High School softball team and coached by the Tapias. Max Tapia has a huge impact on the program. He does so much more on the field and off the field. Being coached by both Mrs. and Mr. Tapia has created a more family bond on our team. Together, they are not only our coaches, but also mentors who teach us how to stay united as a softball family and how to take care of each other on and off the field. A big part of this doing is the fact that they are coaching as a family and have the same best interest and love for the team. I am saddened to hear that Max Tapia will no longer be allowed to coach. My name is Ariana Villalobos, and I've been playing varsity since my freshman year of high school. Coach Max Tapia is one of the most respectful, amazing, and awesome I have ever had. He is knowledgeable about softball, and I am asking you to please continue allowing him to assist his wife, Lorena. He has been part of the team for many years and has played a big role in the softball career since I've started with the school team. I feel that if you remove Coach Max Tapia, it will affect our school team. We were made aware of some rules that our school district will be changing and are afraid our coaches will no longer coach our team together. We are a team with both Tapias, and I am sad to think that he will not be able to continue as our coach if this rule affects him. I have learned so much from him, and I know I will continue to learn from Coach Max Tapia in the future. He has made me the pitcher player that I am today. Please reconsider your decision. Let me see how many more. I just want to know.
Are those all about the softball?
Yes.
All the rest of them?
Uh-huh, yeah. So here, Denise, I'll let you go.
This is from Alondra Andrade Victoria. Dear Board of Directors, I am writing this letter regarding the upcoming change of relatives not being able to coach together. This greatly affects my team because that means we will not be able to have our coach, Max Tapia, in our softball program. Max has been a coach for the softball team for as long as I can remember. Coach Max has done many great things for our team, whether it deals with fundraising, practices, or games. Under Coach Max's coaching, I have improved so much since I was a freshman, and I am still learning new things as a senior. Coach Max not only helps me improve, but he also takes the time to teach others to improve their skills. Without Coach Max and Coach Tapia, there would be no softball team. There would be no players going on to the collegiate level and continuing their softball career. There would be no athletes getting the chance to play out of Douglas and travel to new places and gain experience. As a senior, I cannot see Coach Max not being able to coach my senior year as long as the lower classmen. So please take this into consideration of allowing relatives to coach together. Thank you. Sincerely, Alondra Andrade Victoria. This is from student athlete Faye Rodriguez. As a student athlete at Douglas High School, I am concerned about the decision to stop relatives from coaching together. I play for the school softball team that is coached by Max and Lorena Tapia. I am sad to hear that Max might not be able to coach the softball team if this decision follows through. Max has a great impact on not only me, but my fellow teammates. Being coached by two people who are relatives has created more of a family bond on the team. They have taught me how to care for and love my teammates on and off the field. I would greatly reconsider following through with this decision, as it will not only affect my sport, but as well as others. Sincerely, concerned student athlete, Faye Rodriguez. Jessica Castillo. Dear DUSD board members and Superintendent Mrs. Ana Samaniego, I am a parent whose child attends Douglas High School. I would like the board to consider not passing action item IIM because of the many sports and students it will affect in our district. I write this letter on behalf of the sport of softball in support of Lorena and Max Tapia to continue coaching softball together. I had the privilege of having my daughter play for both of them, and I contribute their coaching to be a huge part of the reason why my daughter went on to play softball at the next level. As coaches, they bring that family environment to the softball team. They are challenging, fair, honest, and inspire the team to work together to the best players they can be. They are both very knowledgeable about the games at this level of play, over 20 years experience. They have had great success coaching together since working as varsity coaches in 2014. Some successes, the 2019 Gila Region Championship and DHS softball players going on to play softball at Paradise Valley Community College, Eastern Arizona College, and Hastings College in Nebraska. As a coaching unit, they have showed their passion for softball with their patience, great communication, and the countless hours they have spent with the softball team and their families. I know that the school board is committed to the success of all students. I am hoping that my daughter, who just entered Douglas High School, will have the privilege to play softball under Lorena and Max Tapia. I appreciate the time and effort the school board puts into the best interest of the students. Thank you for your time, service, and consideration. Jessica Castillo. This is from Isabel Tanabe. Dear DUSD board members and Superintendent Mrs. Samaniego, I am a recently graduated student of Douglas High School from the class of 2021. I would like the board to consider not passing action item 3M because of the many sports and students it will affect in the district. I am writing this letter on behalf of the sport of softball in support of Lorena and Max Tapia to continue coaching softball together. I had the privilege of being part of the amazing softball community they have created at the high school level now and know firsthand of the value they have in coaching together. Having played under Lorena and Max Tapia for the past 5 years, I have received unconditional support and encouragement from both of them. The two of them coaching together brings a family dynamic to the team that only makes for a stronger program. They are knowledgeable, passionate, honest, fair, and inspiring coaches that have helped numerous athletes reach their fullest potential. They have had great success coaching together and even greater success in helping athletes, such as myself, to play softball at the collegiate level. They put countless hours on the field for young athletes and try to help in every possible way. As a coaching unit, they are stronger together, and I hope that other athletes can have the opportunity to have both of them as coaches. They have influenced my life and impacted my athletic career tremendously. Their patience, communication, and dedication toward athletes and the sport of softball is an undeniable gift and was the best part of my time as a student at DHS. Thank you for your time and consideration. Isabel Tanabe. And this is from Jesus Valenzuela. Esteemed members of the Douglas Unified School District, it is with great respect that I share the opinion supporting coaches to coach with family members as a viable option in support of the best interest of DUSD athletic program. As a coach, I see the value in allowing an athletic program that benefit of sharing personal values and experiences in a structured athletic program that follows the directives of DUSD and the AIA, but also allows the coach to structure the program with coaches who share the same inspiration and passion with the support of the athletic program they represent. Coaches would be allowed the discretion to structure the athletic program they present with the, coaches should be allowed the discretion to structure the athletic program they represent with the approval of the DUSD athletic program, with coaches they can trust to follow the needs of the program while instilling the values and ethics of the student athlete. I agree that our athletic programs should be well balanced and be monitored so that the best interest of our student athletes are always met, and as coaches we are meeting those expectations. The DUSD should consider maintaining this option in the best interest of the athletic program and the student athlete. Respectfully submitted, Jesus Valenzuela. And this is from Talia Iguerra. Hello, my name is Talia Iguerra, and I'm writing to request that the school board to reconsider the decision that they are about to make. I attended Douglas High School and was a member of the varsity team for all 4 years, as well as playing travel ball with Coach Max and Mrs. Tapia. As a result, I'm familiar with how each of them coach, and I know that Max loves the sport more than anything in the world. but I know that he loves coaching it even more, given how tough it is to find skilled coaches, particularly in a little border town like ours. Why would you want to stop him from doing something he enjoys? That makes zero sense to me. Coach Max is the type of coach who isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. For example, I was a catcher. Pitchers and catchers would always show up an hour early before everyone else, and so will Coach Max. When we didn't have enough catchers to catch for bullpen, Coach Max, with no hesitation, would put on a catcher's gear and catch for one of the pitchers. As a former athlete, that's a true dedicated coach that just wanted to help any possible way he could and didn't want to leave any pitcher out. And even sometimes he would just put a helmet on and catch with no gear. And he would get hit left and right, but he wouldn't complain about it. He was dedicated to us every single day, as we are always dedicated to him as our coach. Coach Max and Mrs. Tapia have won numerous awards while coaching softball together, including multiple regional titles, trips to state a few times, and numerous players they have coached being named to first team, second team, and honorable mention. Mrs. Tapia and Coach Max are the duo that you can't replace. They have put so many sacrifices into this softball program. Coach Max and Mrs. Tapia never stopped encouraging me and kept me going when I thought I wouldn't be able to attain my goals. They had always believed in me no matter what. Not only did they teach me a lot while I was playing for them, but they also showed us how much they loved and cared about all the girls they coached over the years. They were the first ones to take me to my first college visit, which was at Eastern Arizona College. Several of DHS student athletes have gone to play softball at the next level, including me, and we all couldn't have done it without them, for never giving up on us and always motivating us to work harder than the practice we had before. It's not acceptable to have family members no longer coaching together, especially if it means disbanding the coaching staff. The softball program has always been strong because of Coach Max. He is the glue that holds everything together. Without him, the program would fall apart and become unrecognizable. All the girls who were coached by him would not have made it through high school softball if Coach Max hadn't pushed us every day to improve as athletes. Coach Max has been with this program for years, and to just take it away from him like that is just wrong. He deserves so much more than he gets. He doesn't just do it for himself, he does it for the girls. It's something he puts his heart and soul into, and this time, all his former athletes are doing the same for him to keep on coaching. So please reconsider your decision. Coach Max is the best softball coach Douglas High School has ever had, and no one has ever done it better. And if you believe otherwise, you are truly mistaken.
Is that it? Okay, we have three more, and I'll finish reading to give Denise a break.
Okay.
I am writing this email as a public comment for the school board meeting on Tuesday, September 7th. As a former athlete of Douglas High School, I am writing this letter to address my opinion in regards to the possible changes in coaching staff regulations at DHS. I would like to express my experience as a former athlete on the softball team. Mr. and Mrs. Tapia have put their time and effort into building a great softball program for many years and have become family to the softball teams they have coached. I was blessed enough to have been on the varsity team for all 4 years. During this time, the coaches were spouses and posed no problem to our team. On the contrary, it made us a family. Coach Max has dedicated a great amount of time to the program. He taught me how not only to be a great pitcher, but a great person. He goes far beyond his duties as a coach in the way that he takes care of the field. I have witnessed him firsthand dragging the field, fixing the dirt around home plates to ensure we have level dirt to play on. He is a crucial part in the softball program. His knowledge and skills go far beyond just that of softball. He really cares. During the time I was on the team, we made it to state twice and had multiple winning records. He and Mrs. Tapia helped me get to the next level in my softball career and made sure I went to school where I was going to be academically successful as well as happy. Thanks to their great softball program, I, along with other athletes, have been able to accomplish the dream of playing at the next level. I've been coached by coaches who are related as well as those who are not. I believe the team benefits far more by having coaches who are related because the bond between the coaches allows them to have a common hobby, resulting in putting more of their time and effort into their team. I strongly suggest you rethink your decision on not allowing coaches who are related to coach together because this will affect the softball program, especially with Douglas's limited candidates who are experienced enough to coach at the high school level. 4 years, Mr. and Mrs. Tapia have been trying to build a strong softball program together. They have produced outstanding athletes, amazing young women. Please allow them to continue to do so. It has been brought to my attention, this is by Crystal Munoz, that the district is wanting to release any relatives from coaching together. To my understanding, this will mean that Coach Max Tapia will no longer be able to coach alongside Lorena Tapia. As a former Douglas High School athlete, 2017 graduate, this can potentially jeopardize the success of Douglas High School program. Coach Tapia has put an immense amount of dedication, hard work, and time to the softball program to bring it where it is today. He has impacted many athletes positively through the softball program, as well as Coach Lorena Tapia. They are coaches with outstanding knowledge of the game of softball. They both improve the program and improve each athlete's skills and enlighten them with the knowledge of the game of softball. Coach Lorena Tapia and Coach Max Tapia are an inseparable duo. Their professionalism and strong dedication of the game and their similar goals for the program make the program that much more successful and better. Personally, I have not met any other coaches like the Tapias throughout my career. Till this day, we call them my coaches because they have had such a great impact in my life. They prepared me for life outside of softball. With the proper discipline I received as an athlete in their program, and they provided me with the opportunities to further my education and potentially play at the college level. From my own experience, as for any other relatives who may be coaching together at Douglas High School, I believe passing the programs at DHS will not benefit all. We want coaches who are familiar with each other's coaching styles work together. Usually the coaches do not understand each other, come into conflict, and then that has a negative impact on the entire program and team. And we have one more. This is from Jocelyn Hurtado. I am a former student athlete who played with many of the greatest coaches at DHS. I was told about a meeting that is supposed to stop relatives from coaching together. In my opinion, I don't like this idea because I believe that every coach has their position is not due to the fact that they have a relative in the same position, but that they are there because they earned it. Coach Max and Mrs. Tapia have helped so many girls further their education through softball. They give their student athletes the extra push to continue their education. There have been many girls who play softball at the college level because of them. They are not only great coaches, but they also help people better their program. They care for the program and the girls who are in it, and they truly want to make everyone who steps on the field not only better at the sport, but also help them become better people. They make the girls help around the community by helping sell tickets for people who are going through something and having them do community service. Speaking from my experience in all of this has made me a better person. There has never been a problem before, so I'd like to know why is it a problem now. I do not see how relatives coaching together would have a negative experience. Relatives coaching together is not a problem, so I hope that this does not become a rule because there are some great coaches who truly care for the program and their athletes. I would like to hear more about your reasoning. Please contact me at, I won't say the number. And that was from Jocelyn Hurtado.
Was that the weather?
That's the weather, yes.
Okay.
So that was
I thought that was the thunder because it was over and it was an acclamation for the Tapias.
So, one more? Oh, we have, Denise says she has one more.
The other one is a duplicate from Jessica.
Okay, all right.
And this was the long one. So, dear Mrs. Samaniego and School Board, my name is Diana Barayardos, and I am writing this letter to ask if the school board to reconsider relatives coaching together. This decision can change the team dynamics on future sports programs. In this case, the softball team would be truly affected by this decision. I played softball all my 4 years of high school. My freshman year, I was on JV and moved up to varsity my sophomore to senior year. I started playing softball with Coach Tapia and Coach Max in December of my freshman year on the travel team. I played softball since I was 8, but I can truly say I learned everything I know about softball because of Coach Tapia and Coach Max. They are coaches that make a true impact on their team, not only by encouraging their players on the field, and also by encouraging and monitoring their players academically. They strive to make you the best student athlete that you can possibly be, and the dedication they put into the softball programs is more than I have ever seen any coach do. Coming from a small border town, it is already hard enough to find dedicated coaches that are passionate about coaching and know how to effectively lead a team. Coach Tapia and Coach Max are the best of the school are the best the school board can have, and breaking up the coaching style that both coaches have built is not fair. Both coaches put in a unique aspect into the program, and without them coaching together, the program is not going to function to the best of its ability. Both coaches taught me so much I can't thank them enough for that. Coach Max always taught me to get out of my head and not to overthink. He also helped me with my batting skills, and because of them, I graduated high school with 23 home runs in my years of playing with them. By the unique and effective coaching style that both Coach Tapia and Max bring to the table, that is why the softball team has made it to state, won numerous regional championship titles, and has helped multiple players on the honorable mention list from the AIA. Let's not forget all the good they have done in the community, like hosting the Christmas toy drive tournament in honor of Mr. Wonderful. Coach Max is the kind of coach that you want in the softball program, and assisting Coach Tapia. Removing relatives as coaches is like removing relative teachers from the district when the overall goal is to help students and student athletes. My overall question to the school board is, why break up a great coaching system if it is functioning so well and complements one another? Coach Max has been with the program for many years. Why take it away from him when he has made such an impact on not only me, but so many student athletes? Please reconsider coaching together and allow Coach Max to stay with the program so he can have the same impact he had with me on future generation softball players.
That's it?
Yes, that was the last one.
That was quite a testimonial to the Tapias. Seriously, it's comforting to the board to know that we have people out there that are appreciated as much and respected as the Tapias. Lorena, I think that by proclamation, he just got elevated to head coach tonight. No, we really want to thank everybody for all those comments, and it's good for the board to hear all those things. It takes time, but it's good for the board to hear all those things, because when we deliberate and make decisions like this one, and as important it is, then we need to have that. Again, I think, members of the board, we're going to address the present situation tonight. And I think whatever action we take is going to remedy the situation that has been ongoing in the district for quite some time. So we're going to, I'm going to recommend we take care of that tonight. So let's get a motion on the floor so we can have some discussion. And I think the motion should include not only the volunteer, because this was strictly addressing the coaches, but anybody else in the district that may be in a conflict of interest situation now that the administration knows about and maybe the public doesn't know about, but there are probably others that have been ongoing for many years. So I'll entertain a motion to adopt the policy to address the situation as it presently is, including grandfathering in all of the present volunteers and any other employee that may have a conflict until that employee or that volunteer leaves the district. I'll entertain that motion.
I make that motion.
By Dr. Gomez. Is there a
Second.
second? By Mr. Lindeman. Discussion.
Yes, I have.
Dr. Gomez.
Go ahead.
Well, let Dr. Gomez.
Okay, I just have one large comment. And like you said, that it was a testimonial to the Tapias. And I agree with you, maybe we should have changed positions. Have Max be the coach and his wife be whatever.
You're going to cause a family fight tonight.
But the thing of it is that in this letter, in these letters, because there were so many, they all missed the point. And the point that this was not an arbitrary decision, and it wasn't a decision that just to take him out of the softball program. It is a decision that we're going to make because we have to conform to state law. And being on the board, I don't want to have a situation arise into where somebody files a lawsuit against the school board and says, why did you let this happen if it's against state law? That's what I'm saying. So they missed the point. The point is not that we were arbitrarily going to do this, but because it's a situation to where the board finds itself in that we have to follow state law. We have been told by our attorneys that we should follow state law. And I also agree with Mr. Brain that we should grandfather in the ones that are already doing it. Now, I do want to ask a question. Hunter, is your dad helping you now?
He is. He is at the field currently with my other assistant coaches, my obviously approved coaches.
Yeah.
They're obviously waiting inside the locker room trying to wait out his weather right now as we speak.
All right. Now, did he say he was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's my comment.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Lindeman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur wholeheartedly with Dr. Gomez. We find ourselves in this kind of a position, and there is no other way, because that would be a violation of the state law, and we have to comply with the state law. Although we can hopefully make it so that it doesn't affect so much for at least this final year. I do want to clarify, though, that when I was in my career, most of my helpers were actually certified teachers that came along, so I didn't have many uncertified helpers. So, thank you.
Mr. Ramos.
Yes, being involved myself for many years with the youth of the community in Little League. I started back in 1974 on up to 2005. President two different times, in the 80s and then in 2003 to 2005. I know how difficult it is to have volunteers come in and help the people that are in these organizations try to help the youth of our community. But I also strongly believe that breaking or bending the law is not something that we can do. I would give $1 million if I had them to find out the way how a small community as ours can continue helping our youth with our programs, with the volunteer situation, and not be outside the law. It is very difficult to find volunteers to help, and when we do, then we have to not let them because they're family members. And everybody knows, you walk down the street, and all of us, we pass 1, 2, 3 family members because we're so small, the community is so small. And it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for me to make a decision, but I took an oath to do what was best for the district, and one thing I don't want to do is break the law. I am glad we're going to father in the volunteers that are there now, and hopefully we can find a solution in the future to be able to go around the volunteer situation, just on volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Salchow, you have any?
Of course, I'm last, so kind of ditto. But like the gentleman has said, we have to follow the law. We have to, because that's what protects us. Not us, but it protects you as well, and all of our students, employees, everyone, including our volunteers. My husband coached for 41 years, and he had volunteers, especially in coaching golf. And it wasn't always easy to find someone, but I'll be very honest, he didn't always look for one either. Because once you had a good one, you tried to keep them as long as you possibly could. And they worked really hard to make sure there weren't conflicts. I asked him about this matter, and I said, would you have ever considered having me as your volunteer? And I won't tell you all what he said, but the word was no, because in our relationship, we're not as, we have a great relationship and we work really well together, but coaching, we would not have done well. So I admire those people who can do it. I have nothing but the utmost admiration for you. And keep on doing it. Obviously, by these testimonials, by these letters from very devoted and loving people, they care for you. And they've trusted you with their children. And we trust you. So we want to make sure that they're protected as well. So I'm glad to move in that direction, to keep what we have. But we have to look in the future about what could possibly happen.
Thank you.
Mr. Bureen, if I may, just one last.
Let me finish with the
Okay.
board first, and make sure the board's finished. Any other follow-up regards? I'm always taken by the expression and the statement made, other districts don't do it. And, I happen to be in a position for 8 years where, thank God, we don't deal with other school districts and we don't do what they do. Because other school districts that we don't ever hear about are constantly in trouble because they don't follow the law, they don't follow the state procurement code, they don't follow the uniform system of financial records. And I can tell you that for the last few years, this district has tried to do some things to play catch-up and rectify some of the things that haven't happened. And I'll tell you, this board is going to be dealing with another one in the very near future about something that took place in this district that we're going to have to rectify. And it's always very difficult for a body to clean up after past bad acts or past mistakes. So that comment that I've heard all my life is other districts don't do it, or Jim's family, they don't do it. That's fine. Thank God we don't do it. If there's no further discussion from the board, I'm going to defer to Ms. Samaniego.
Okay. Board members, this was definitely something that was brought up in 2019. And to the question of how do we find a solution, or how can we continue allowing some volunteers that potentially may have a conflict of interest, was the issue that brought our attorney back in 2019 into the conversation. So you all know how I feel. I support the volunteer program, and this is not only about sports, it's about classrooms and field trips and, band programs and you name it. And the reason that the attorney was involved back in 2019 was specifically for this reason, because that's when it was first brought up to me. And the attorney back then also provided her legal opinion, and we researched information. And she was the one that recommended that we could implement the regulation policy, which is staff conflict of interest, and that was in 2019. And in that staff conflict of interest regulation, it said the superintendent will make the final determination and recommendation on any volunteer conflict of interest where there is a potential or actual conflict may exist. The district will strive to avoid situations where individuals employed by the district are confronted with choosing between duties, demands, and responsibilities of their position and their own personal and private interest, including but not limited to the supervision of a close relative. Thank God in my time, we haven't had to deal with this situation. It doesn't mean that we never will have to face a situation where we're dealing with an angry parent or an angry, upset student at a volunteer in any given situation. And for that reason, followed by the recommendation of the attorney, we instilled some internal process in order to deal with any type of conflicts. And definitely if it was a coach situation or an athlete or an athletic program situation, then Mr. Ortega was going to be directly involved, taking away, the head football coach or head softball coach from that. So, I'm about following policy, and I don't want to be involved in any other lawsuit. And it's not a good feeling, and it puts a district in a position. I just hope that you know, we really, you as a board consider this, and it has already been looked at. We had one previous attorney, and she said we couldn't do the regulation, and that's why we did the regulation back then. If we allow the athletes, the coaches to stay for the remainder of their time, I at least, I'm very grateful for that, because they are good people, and they have been investing many, many hours into the district. So I'm gonna follow what you all decide, because that is my job to do. But I just felt that I needed to point that out, because Mr. Ramos, you said what, you know, keep finding out what else we could do. This is what we could have done, and that was the regulation that Ms. Candy Pardee advised and wrote up herself.
Which was superseded today by.
Yeah.
by-
Yes.
Attorneys always give opinions, and that's why they go to court. Attorney General gives opinions constantly about certain aspects of the law, and that is the law until somebody challenges it in court. And you've been provided with all of the Attorney General's opinions in the court case and so on. Okay, so if we don't have anything else to do, I'm very, very happy and grateful to the board that we're going to be able to solve this and help these people. And so let's have the roll call if there isn't any other comments that want to be made by board members. Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Yes. Now, item N, discussion action on the approval to adopt the fiscal year 2021-22 instructional time model. This is the item where we give the approval as a result of both hearings. Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Ramos. Any discussion? Mrs. Samaniego, you want to add anything else?
No, I just want to clarify and just express that we are not offering a remote learning option. It is not a choice. This is only to be used on emergency cases. I really don't foresee that going over that 50%. It is obviously going to have to do a lot with attendance. What we're doing here is we're protecting the education of our children. We want kids who are sick due to the current situation we're dealing with to still be able to receive their instructional hours even when they're home. Right now, if you are sick with COVID, if you have symptoms, you're sitting home and you are not getting educated. And so this is not a remote learning option that is going to stay for the rest of the year. It will be on a short-term basis and it is a needed case only.
Mr. Duarte didn't stick around to address the board, did he, on the item? Okay. Question?
I have a question, if I may.
Roll call.
He has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have another question?
Yeah, I have another question. I was just wondering that, you know, as I think I brought up before, if the unforeseen happens and we have another 2020, are we able to pursue that still in
Yes.
case we go to remote?
Yes, once you approve this, we are able to move in that direction if we have to.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Yes. Item O, discussion action pursuant to BGF policy to temporarily suspend policy BGB, requiring 2 readings of the proposed policies prior to approval of the adoption in order to approve the following policy advisory immediately upon the first reading. I'm going to entertain a motion to approve that, and then we're going to get on the floor because there's a lot of information there. So, Mr. Lindemann, would you make that motion?
Yes, I move to approve.
Is there a second?
I second.
By Ms. Salchow. Discussion. Before Ms. Samaniego gets in there, I just want to point out 2 things. That the majority of those policy revisions deal with the COVID and about board meetings and how how to appropriately handle them. And the other interesting one was that the legislature, in all their wisdom, are prohibiting school districts from looking into the, what's it called, critical theory instruction, which they got way ahead of the curve, and they're not even going to let boards even decide whether or not they want it or not. So they're prohibiting that all through that's why we have to make those policies comply with the House bill. So is there anything else that you want to point out regarding those, or board members? And there's a lot of policies there and a lot of revisions. Do you have any specifically you want to talk about?
Mr. President, that, regarding the critical race theory, I did a little research in that. That apparently is not actually a thing. All it is an academic exercise, and it's become all blown out of context. So, but the legislature says we deal with it. I guess we do.
I really couldn't see anybody in this community knocking the door down to do that. I had people call me when they initially started talking about it and totally against it, and comments like, don't you dare let them teach that in the schools, and don't you, well, the legislature got way ahead of them, and so we're not even going to have to ever consider it. So Ms. Samaniego, do you have anything regarding those policies?
No, there is a lot, and there's various topics from hiring practices that our HR department has, new things that they're going to have to do, from, new suspension policies for elementary kids. So all of our principals already received the policies that they have to become very familiar with, and then they have a quiz next week. And it's tied to their performance pay. And so they're going to be reviewing those policies. Everybody, business office has their own policies, so everybody's going to be reading up on those to make sure that we're all aware and compliant. So lots of policies.
Okay, so there isn't anything that board members specifically want to address in those policies? Roll call.
Ms. Selcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burain?
Yes. Then we move then quickly to,
It's P. We have P.
yeah. Let me get that. All right.
It's P. So item P.
Oh, got it.
Yes.
All right, go ahead. That's the job description, Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, that's a job description that we pulled out from the last meeting. Mrs. Cox worked on the job description along with Mrs. Geraldina Trevino, who's going to be, the position will be paid out of ESSER funds. Denise, do you want to mention anything about the interventionist?
So it is a classified position, and there are the people who may apply for this position will have to have an associate's degree or higher.
And we are in desperate need of these positions. Out of the ESSER grants, ESSER 3, 20% of the funding has to be spent in learning loss. And so we definitely, Mr. Duarte asked that question, it would be interesting to see the kids, how they did after, and the AZ merit scores are in. And we know that across the state there was, the scores are not looking good. And this is part of ESSER, and finding certified interventionists would mean finding certified teachers. And so many districts are going in the direction of classified staff filling in these positions because of the lack of teachers. So this is what we're going to post once it's approved, and hopefully we can get some qualified applicants to help in our elementary and I believe middle school?
Yes. So
Okay.
potentially 14 positions.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
I move to
By
approve.
Mr. Lindemann, second by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion, members of the board? Dr. Gomez? Roll call.
Ms. Selcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burain?
Yes. Item Q, discussion action on the approval of the resolution authorizing Douglas Unified School District 27 to enter into a personal property lease purchase agreement with Hellas Construction Incorporated relating to the financing and the cost of acquiring and installing a synthetic turf multipurpose field, and approving certain actions and related documents in connection therewith.
This resolution, and as you know, the turf was already completed. We have been working with our attorneys and Hellas's attorneys over the last month in getting the contract finalized. So our attorney has reviewed. They agreed that presenting a resolution allowing myself, or in this case, Mr. Soto, to execute and deliver any district signatures on behalf of the HALIS agreement or completion of the project for the project amount of $977,940. So this resolution would allow us signing authority.
Have you taken official acceptance of the field now? Was there an official walkthrough with the administration?
Yes, just today there was an official walkthrough and
Today.
There was some documents signed. So we're still dealing with the paperwork. And the main thing, it was the back and forth because of the ownership of the land, basically. And that's what the reason why Mrs. Samaniego and I went to the city and looking to actually get those, the land to us. Hopefully with this, it seems like both parties are in agreement with the wording and for the agreement. So we're hoping that with this resolution that we can just finalize and.
So now the football team now can get on the field because
Yes, sir.
you've officially taken acceptance
Yes,
of
sir.
it? Okay, good. Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain.
Yes. Future agenda items, members of the board. I want to point out to the board that in 1979, in November of 1979, the school district honored a outstanding legend that ever came out of Douglas, Arizona, by the name of Gib Dawson, and we had what we called a Gib Dawson night. And he was honored, he was here. Gib Dawson was a four-year high school letterman in football, baseball, and track, and also in basketball. He was voted twice the outstanding athlete in Arizona. He went on to play for the Texas Longhorns, where he was the most valuable player in the Cotton Bowl. He went on to play for the Green Bay Packers. He played in the college all-star game against the Detroit Lions. He was the most valuable player. He was an outstanding, phenomenal player. And, you know, we were going to name the field after him in 1979, and we didn't do it. We retired the jersey. And that jersey today should still be retired. Of course, that was an official act. But the interesting thing about Gib Dawson was that he has withstood the test of time. There hasn't been another athlete ever come out of this community that was anywhere near the level of his ability. He is absolutely a legend. He was in the state of Arizona twice. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's in the Texas Hall of Fame. And so what I'm proposing, and there'll be a lot more information, I'm proposing that it's very apropos right now because of the new field, that we name the field in deference to him, Gib Dawson Field, but do not do anything about, of course, it's Armando De Luca Stadium. So I want to put that on the agenda for the next meeting, and whether it's a special meeting or not, where we can honor Gib Dawson after all these years, but his legend and his phenomenal performance still lingers. And I think it was something that he's probably the most famous person that ever came out of Arizona in athletic, with the exception of maybe Whizzer White or somebody else like that. So, but anyway, I don't want to oversell that, but I do want to propose that we address that at the next board meeting, or if we have a special meeting sooner, so that hopefully by homecoming, we can get that done and notify his family that the Douglas School District is finally going to recognize him again. Okay? All right, that's what I want on the agenda. And Dr. Gomez.
Well, this is not a future agenda item, but I just want your opinion. Can I kind of make a reply to Mr. Duarte?
Right now?
Yes.
You know what? We'll suspend the rule and go ahead and do it.
Okay, and
because I think it's appropriate. So go ahead.
yeah, but you know, when he said that we had not returned his emails, when I was on the hospital board and Judge Riley was the president, he made it abundantly clear, I mean, at every meeting, that we were not individual members, that we were all members of a board and we could not act individually. And for that reason, I never answered it because I didn't want to answer and say something that he thought that I was going to do by myself because I couldn't do it. So that's the only reason that I haven't answered some emails that I've gotten because of that reason. You know, that we are members of a board and we act in unison, maybe not necessarily unanimously, but we act in unison, and that's why I never answered those letters.
That's the very cautious and probably the best approach. When I answer emails or just informal conversations, I just render my opinion. I never tell them how I'm going to vote or what I propose to do with the board or as a board member. But you certainly can respond informally and give an opinion, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's something officially that you're going to carry through as a member of the board and vote. And you're absolutely right, board members do not act individually. So probably that measure is probably the most cautious and probably the best one to take. So anything else under future agenda? Yes.
Mr. President, I was just wondering if we could have a field dedication or a ribbon cutting, and if we do have that, please make it so that I'm available.
For the field? For the
Don't
field?
go hunting.
If you rename it, is that what it is? What he's asking? Or for the current field now?
No, I think he's talking about the new field.
For the new field.
The new
If
field.
we have a ribbon cutting or a ceremony or something, which I think would be appropriate because, you know, it's brand new, it's all, and then of course, we'll have the dedication for Gib Dawson, but all I ask is that I'm not out of town or something.
You know, pending final approval of that, two things come to mind. Mr. Soto, I think you should get a hold of Hellas in the event that you just put them on notice that if the board does decide to do that for Gib Dawson, that they begin to look at however they do that to put on the field. Basketball courts, they do that all the time. They have two names. You have McHale Center, Lute Olson floor, right? Lute and Bobby Olson floor.
Yeah.
But on the floor, they have the name. So on the field, they do that as well. I think the Dallas Cowboys have Tom Landry Field on it, but it's on the side. So you may want to, they know about that and they know how to do that. So you may want to do. The other thing is Angel still here? Oh,
Yes.
Angel, did you look into that retired jersey thing? Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Come on.
Feels good to stand up. Yeah, I did, and that's confirmed by Coach Long that it has been retired for some
Oh,
time
great.
now. So.
Okay, good. And you know, Angel, you may want to work with Mr. Soto because he's the one that's going to pay for it. But I think, you know, if the board does do this in honor of Gib Dawson, it'll get a lot of, and not that we're going to do it for that, but I'm sure it'll get a lot because he is nationally known. And if we do rename that field, I think we should also have a symbolic jersey up there with like they do, you know, with number 33. Do you have that picture? Somebody, I'm going to show you the. Yeah, there. No, the other one with the jersey 33 in high school. No. Alma, you know which one I'm talking. Let's see, that's it. Jana's got it. See that one there, Angel? That's him with the number 33 on it. If you would work with him and get something as they traditionally and customarily do, so we could hang that jersey that was retired in 1979 up, okay?
Sure, and just to comment, not to say that I don't disagree with that. I'm sure he was a great player back in his time. You know, just to involve the athletic director, maybe the principal and some community members, just to kind of have some kind of a unified approach to it. We also do have other jerseys that are retired that I think deserve to be a part of that as well as just part of the retiring of jerseys, such as, you know, Tony Cortez Rose, things like that. So that might also be taken into consideration as well.
Well, I think that yeah, absolutely, we can do that. But I think moving forward with Gib Dawson's a no-brainer. I mean, as far as the accomplishments, I mean, it would be hard for any collegiate. He's up there ranked with the top collegiate player of all times, and I think we just address him right now, and it would be great if the high school would,
Just to
if the
form some
board
kind
does do that, get together and let's really make it a nice occasion. I'm sure his family will come back down, and we might even get some retired players from that played with him or knew about him would come down. So we want to make it a nice ceremony if we do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is that all for agenda items? Announcements.
All right,
Ms.
just
Samaniego.
announcements. Parent-teacher conferences, again, September the 9th. And due to parent-teacher conferences, we have early release day on the 9th and on the 10th. And this Wednesday, traditionally, a early release day is not an early release day. And I think all of our principals have communicated to the parents so that teachers do their parent conferences. And next regular board meeting, October the 5th.
All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn
Move to adjourn.
by Mr. Ramos, second by Mr. Lindeman.
Yes, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.